With all of the wigs that are out there, sometimes it's really hard to know what you're looking at. So many different lengths, so many different blend types, so many different terms. Hopefully after this video, you'll be able to understand and compare the basics between your human hair and your synthetic wigs. The perfect place to start this discussion is going to be talking about quality. Many people assume that human hair is going to be a superior quality to synthetics, and that's simply not the case. Within synthetics, as this wig is, there is a range all on its own. Some of them are cheap synthetics, which stretch and get snarly fairly quickly, to higher mode acrylics, such as Modulon and a few other ones that hold a really nice sheen and a really nice consistency throughout their lifetime. With human hair, you have cutically intact and cutically stripped hair, and you have a gamut in between those two ends of the spectrum. With human hair, you're going to need to know whether it's cutically intact or cutically stripped. Cutically stripped hair will require a lot of sheen and laminates be put back into the hair to coat it so that it has the sheen and the softness that it did with the cuticles intact. The reason that they do that is because it's cheaper to collect hair in like mixed bags, strip the cuticle off so it doesn't tangle, then add those laminates back. But for you, what that means is that when you take that hair and you wash it and you wear it, those laminates come off and the hair tends to get dry and snarly fairly fast. If you have a cutically intact hair or a Remy hair, what that means is that those hairs are all cutically going in the same direction and they should last for a much longer time. The only thing that's going to need to be put back into those hairs is that you will have to condition it and manage it just as you would your own hair, the only difference being it's not being nourished by your scalp oils. So you have to be a little bit more delicate with that. Now with the synthetics, it's a little bit more straightforward. That hair doesn't necessarily need to be conditioned, but over time it will tangle. Over time it will need to be brushed, and what that does with the synthetics is it leads to those fibers individually being stretched and then snapped back over time. When synthetic fibers stretch and spring back, it creates little bits of frizz, and those individual pieces will frizz mixed in with other ones that aren't frizzy. Over time, that will lead to it having a more of a frizzy look and appearance. This generally happens underneath at the nape, and also with the human hair, it will also happen underneath at the nape first. Or if you have bulkier clothing that it's rubbing against, you can likely see those areas of wear on those aspects first. The other thing that you might want to know about the different qualities and hair types is the terminology. Terminology with wigs tends to get a little bit confusing. Manufacturers and vendors have the desire to want to get you really excited about their products, so they tend to throw in words like human hair and virgin and things like that, but it can be really misleading. So I have a tag here that shows you exactly what I'm talking about. As you can see on this label, in bold face, you have 100% human hair quality. You can see right at the end there, it's that last little word that they throw in. Now this happens a lot. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get you really excited about the fact that this wig is human hair, but it's not. It's fully synthetic. It's 100% human hair quality. So they're trying to tell you that it's a higher quality synthetic. Other times I've seen it in where it says 100% human hair blend, which means that it has human hair in it, but it's probably more likely mostly synthetic. These labels are incredibly important. They tell you what to expect when you work with your wig. One of those important aspects is heat styleability. With human hair, there doesn't tend to be much of a difference from how you would treat it as to how you would treat your own hair when you're curling it, but if you try to curl a synthetic wig, you're gonna get a whole different reaction. High heat synthetics need the cool down process to set that curl. Low temperature synthetics can't take the heat at all and it'll melt. So knowing that these labels are accurate is incredibly important. The next thing that you'll want to know in comparing the two is you'll need to take a look at the sheen. With synthetic wigs, if you're doing a lot of shooting in front of a camera or if you're planning on being at an event where flash photography is taken, sometimes the synthetics can give off a really unnatural glare. You won't notice it in everyday lighting. You're never gonna see it if you're just out and about. But if there's any kind of photography where there's light coming at you in a blast, the synthetics will shine back at the camera and will give it a little bit too much sheen to look natural. Now you can overcome that. You can either go ahead and buy that human hair wig, or you can also use a dry shampoo that's gonna tone down that sheen. You just need to know ahead of time so you can kind of dust it out so you don't get that glare. The last thing is going to be the difference between price. Price is obviously going to be a very big factor when you're comparing anything. So synthetics are arguably much cheaper than human hair. Human hair is harder to source. The other thing is the blondes and the mixes are going to be more expensive than your regular colors with human hair. In synthetic, it's not going to be the case. Typically, your blondes and mixes are generally about the same price as you would expect from your regular dark brown or black shades. So you have those two. Blondes are also much harder to source in human hair. It takes more processing to get the blonde colors because most of the base material is dark. So expect that it's going to be harder to find, and expect also that you're gonna pay a little bit more for that range. The last thing with these is length. Price is obviously a big factor with length. The longer the length, the more of a high quality that you'll want. I don't necessarily recommend synthetics for anything that's terribly long because that movement is going to create those tangles much sooner. I also don't recommend a low quality human hair for anything with length for the same reason. The more movement, the more it's gonna tangle, the higher quality that you're gonna want, or just expect that you're gonna have much more work that's gonna go back into it. So if you're using the synthetics, you'll need to steam them out so that they have that longevity, and you can steam them out and pull out a lot of that kink and frizz. You can do a similar process with the human hair by flat ironing it and putting back in those laminates to keep that longevity intact, but expect to have a little bit more work if you don't want to pay for the price. Hopefully, with all of these tips in mind, you'll be able to compare the two a little bit more easily and get what you pay for. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a beat. And if you need products for your projects, check out doctoredlocks.com for all your hair extension needs.